Election night. We hit Halloween, we hit election night. Our schedule is just really, we're using up all the holidays this time. I appreciate you being willing to spend it together in mediation training. So let's start with our parts and our feelings and values, and then we'll get into it. So let's do alphabetical by first name, and that would start with Karen, and then we'll go to Matthew, Noah, and Suzanne.
Feeling is frantic. Value is stability, and part is election.
Oof. Thanks. Matthew, you want to go?
Yes. My part is lawbreakers, if it makes me feel fury, and my value would be justice.
Okay. Noah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling curious. My value is nosiness, and the part is lawbreakers, because that very interesting.
It was me. I broke the law. I did the dishes. Just kidding.
That's crazy. Doing dishes should be against the law, especially if you have a dishwasher. Like, oh my God, you're hampering human society's growth. You know what I'm saying?
Are actually also using more water. Surprisingly, washing your dishes by hand is worse for the environment in the end. Suzanne's nodding like, it's true.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Karen, I saw shake is shocking Karen's face. I'm like, that's right. Stop doing your dishes by hand, Karen. You're wasting water. Okay, so I've got of course, Karen, no problem. Okay, so Suzanne, what are your feelings, values, and parts tonight?
Oh, I don't know. I've got two areas to go. I'm going to go with the election.
Okay.
I'm feeling a little nervous because I value justice, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I think everybody voting, no matter where they're going, how they're voting, has that same feeling.
Yeah, we've got two justice people here. Okay, so I will say my part is also the election, and I'm feeling, I guess, resigned in a good way. Like I've let it go. It's out of my hands. I'm feeling proud that I did vote, and I'm feeling committed. So one thing that I heard about the election was like, no matter who wins, we got to do the work of democracy, and it's not all about the president and who that is and who voted for them. It really is about like what we do in our communities. And I want to say that all of you are doing an extraordinary extra job that not everyone's willing to do, which is learn how to mediate, learn kind of how we can do things even more democratically. And what's more democratic than participants deciding for themselves what they want to do with their own conflict, right? So if you feel disparaged, if you feel like, oh, I need to do something, I hope you find some solace in knowing that you are doing it here and learning how to be a mediator. And hopefully when we're done with the mediation training, you have enough information to make an informed decision. But if you want to continue mediating, and the work of mediating is democratic, it is part of correcting some of the issues in our system to make sure that more people get a say in what happens in their own lives. So that's all I'll say about that. Today, we're going to do two things. We're going to finish the mediation with me and Matthew in the gym. And since we have more time, I'm going to kind of rewind us back. So I'm going to give you the two links. In the chat, I'm putting the link to the manual. And we're going to start on page 45. So I'm going to put that in the chat, page 45. This is the document. Next, I'm putting in the chat the plan action document we were working with. What we're going to do is we're going to go all the way through. We've clustered, so we're going to go all the way through categorizing. We're going to do just each cluster that Matthew and I have. We're going to just do the full thing. And then we're going to go through the last stages of plan actions. We're going to go through next steps, and we're going to do ending a session and closing shares. Okay, so we're going to go through the whole rest of the process in the first half of class today. And then depending on how much time we have left, the last part of class, I'm going to start going into some conflict resolution, mediation theory, and talking about alternative/appropriate dispute resolution. So that's what we're going to get into today. I want you to get your mediator hats on. We're back to our trio. We've got Karen, Noah, and Suzanne, and that's the order, alphabetical by first name, most neutral order. No one can get mad about that. It's just what it is. And we're going to go to stage C. And actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make it more fun. Let's practice opening a second session. So we had our first session with me and Matthew. We got all the way to the beginning of Categorize. And now we're back for a second session. And you guys start actually on page 30. So on page 30, you'll just start as if Matthew and I are coming in for our second session. Matthew, you don't have to read it because you and I are just being ourselves, and unless you want to follow along, but we're just being ourselves. And we're going to finish this mediation in 2 quick sessions. So Karen, Noah, Suzanne, make sure you also have your mediator notes because you're still going to have to reflect me and Matthew. You're going to have to align. So you're going to want to look at the feelings and values you had for the last session. And once you have your notes from the last session, which you'll be adding to in this session, you have the manual open and you have the plan action doc open, let me know. And then when you're all ready, we'll get started.
I got it.
You're good, Noah? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Karen, Suzanne? Karen?
Good.
Yeah, that's okay. Take your time. Karen, you ready? Okay, great. So we're gonna just do let's do page 30 with Karen and Noah, and then we'll switch to Noah and Suzanne on page 31. And then on page 32, we'll do Suzanne and Karen. And then we'll keep going to page 33 to Noah and Karen. So just do you see how we switch off each time? So there's only 2 of you on each page. And you'll go all the way to 33. And then once you finish opening shares with me and Matthew, then you want to go back to categorizing actions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Go from page 33 to page 45, and we'll just go right back into categorizing. Okay. So Karen and Noah, whenever you're ready, take it from page 30.
Can everyone see us?
Can everyone hear us?
Yes, I can hear and see you.
All right. Like our last session, humans mediate record sessions for quality control.
Does humans mediate have your consent to record this session as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Before we start the recording, we'd like for you to decide how you'd like your name to be displayed.
We can change it for you, or you can change your name yourself.
Does the way your name currently appears match how you want it to look in the recording?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you please verbally consent to record this mediation session so that there's a record of your consent on the recording?
Yes, I consent to the session being recorded.
I consent to this recording.
Thank you.
We have a little more setup to take care of.
Are your devices plugged in?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you connected to private Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you in a private space?
Yes.
Yes.
If you get this,
Oh, Karen.
Sorry.
oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you're
Go
good.
ahead.
You're good.
If you get disconnected, you can call back into the room at the number my co-mediator is posting into the chat.
Boop. We recommend you write this number down, and it can be found in your email and calendar.
Time check. We are scheduled to go till 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Does that time frame still work for you?
Yes.
Yes.
We will set a timer which will go off 20 minutes before the end of the session.
What are some, if any, questions about our schedule?
I don't have any.
I don't have any questions.
Please share when you need a break.
We can take a break at any time.
In mediation, when we take breaks, the mediators will stay in the room.
We ask that all participants leave the room during the breaks.
This allows us to maintain our neutrality as mediators.
As mediators, we exclusively show up when all participants are together at the same time.
This ensures everyone has equal access to the mediators.
What are some, if any, questions about breaks?
We are referencing the process guide of the steps we'll go through during the mediation.
Boop.
And we'll pretend
Do you
that.
have any questions?
We don't have any questions. Thanks for checking.
Oh, point to process steps as you mentioned them. Okay. I guess that's your turn, Suzanne.
Okay. In our last session, we ended in stage C, categorizing actions.
In this session, we'll start with opening shares.
Then we will continue with categorizing actions.
The steps we complete in each session are based on your pace and what you consent or do not consent to.
We will describe in detail what happens in each step when we get to them.
What are some, if any, questions the two of you have about the mediation process?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions either.
What are some, if any, needs you'd like to take care of before we begin the mediation process? Sorry.
For example, do you need something to eat and drink?
Go to the restroom or toilet?
Anything to make you feel comfortable?
I think I'm good. Is it okay if I knit during mediation?
That is fine. It's your mediation. And if it makes you comfortable, you may do so. Do you need anything, Matthew?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for your patience of setting up the mediation.
Are you ready to continue?
I know what you can take us at the top of page 33, and then Karen, you'll keep going on page 33.
Mhm.
You all ready to continue?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
All right, so we are now starting opening shares.
For opening shares, you will get an uninterrupted opportunity to say anything you want to open the session.
Please let us know when you've completed sharing.
Then we will repeat the process for the next speaker.
Next, the mediators will check with you to confirm we heard you accurately.
What are some of any questions about what opening shares will look like?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either.
Are you ready to continue?
Yes.
Elizabeth, are you ready to continue?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's take a moment for everyone to gather their thoughts.
This is your time to think about what you'd like to say for your opening share.
When you're ready, let us know. Elizabeth and Matthew, are you the two of you ready?
I think I need a second. Matthew, I think I heard the Instapot and it needs. Oh, well, you're good. You don't have to touch it. Never mind. I think I'm ready.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
All right. What would you like to share?
Well, we're still doing the gym thing, right? So I think we need to. I think we are going to have a bit of trouble, like trying to find the time to do it because we're both pretty busy. I feel like with our jobs, like we're not leaving ourselves a lot of time to take care of ourselves. Oh, if I guess before we can go to the gym, we have to like learn to make the appropriate time, make sure we're well set, and even have the capability of doing so.
Thank you for sharing. Wait, was that supposed to be your line, Karen? I don't remember.
No, it's okay. Either of you can say it. You're okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was supposed to be me. Whoops. But I'll pretend to be you, Noah, for a second. Elizabeth, what would you like to share?
I agree. I mean, I think maybe what we need in our plan are some ideas about how to schedule it. I think we spend a lot of time on YouTube or watching TV, and I wonder if we cut some of that time out, if we would have more time. I think like if we were more consistent with our meal planning, then we wouldn't have to cook during the week, and that would give us more time to go to the gym too. But I do feel like we're busy, and I feel like, to be fair, a couple of things would need to happen before we'd have like a lot more time. Like once this training ends, we'll have more time. That's going to be what, like 2 more weeks, 2 or 3 more weeks. And then I think once we kind of unpack all of the boxes we have and kind of get our apartment like resettled in, I think we'll have space and kind of more energy to stretch and feel like we can actually go to the gym. But I think that's why I want to like test out the 2 places and just get like day passes before we get like a membership. Then we want to get a membership when we know we like are going consistently and it's a part of our routine.
So thank you for sharing. Now we're gonna check to make sure we heard Matthew. Wait, yeah, Matthew, and no, Elizabeth, and then we're gonna check with Matthew. That good for you all? All right. So Elizabeth, I think I was hearing from you that moderation is something that you're looking for, specifically when it comes to the YouTube, and looking for consistency when it comes to food, and doing a gym membership on a trial basis is an idea you might have. Is that right, Elizabeth? Is it a yeah or a?
Yes.
All right.
Matthew, I hear that you're feeling busy and worked, and you value time and balancing out your thresholds around the gym. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
We've completed opening shares, and now we're moving to section C, categorizing actions.
Let's look to Noah and Suzanne reading the top of categorizing actions.
All right. Welcome back.
Oh, and Suzanne, you're muted, so we can't hear you. There you go.
We've clustered similar actions together.
Now you will categorize each action by highlighting them as yes, maybe, or no. I have a timeout real quick. So I know usually between B and C, we're putting in ideas that people said, like during, I guess, the session, we're putting them in there, right? If we start in C, are we just supposed to put those in there before we shared the stage C list with them, or?
So what I would do is I would just remind them what we're doing. I mean, like you're kind of just reminding them what we're doing again and then pulling up the thing and sharing it. And then once you get back to the thing and sharing it, the actions that you heard in opening shares, because Matthew and I gave you a lot of actions.
Mm-hmm.
I would add those in before we get into each cluster again. So you just say, these are things I heard. I'm going to just copy them out of my notes and paste it into the, into the clusters. And that way you could just we can just see you do it, but we'll get to that when we get to the cluster. And I think you might even have a new cluster that's all about scheduling
Mm-hmm.
membership. So what you could also do is maybe take a break and say, I need a break. My co-media, I heard a bunch of new actions and we just need to get them in your list. You could do that too. So
Okay.
Usually I just take the break because I don't like participants to see me like making a bunch of decisions and doing a bunch of things, because that's not what I'm doing most of the time, right? The rest of the time I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that. And then I would say too, when you go back for a second round, like this script, it says welcome back. That's because it assumes they came back from a break, but you can skip that if we didn't come back from a break. And then, you can remind them, you can ask, hey, would you like a reminder of what we're doing in this step, or do you want to jump back in? And if they want to jump back in, you can skip it. So it's just read the manual the first time through, and then the second time through, it's there for you. Use the language if you're going to describe what happens. Don't go rogue and do a totally different explanation. But you can ask participants, like, do you want to go through this again? And sometimes be like, yeah, remind me. Or sometimes be like, ah, no, I got it. I know the red, yellow, green. So you could also do that.
Okay.
Do you want to time back in now? Are you ready?
Yeah, I can press play. Yeah.
It's you and Karen, and then what we'll do is Suzanne, once they get through, I guess, adding the new actions, we'll bring Suzanne back in for the first cluster we jump back into.
Wait, I'm confused. What part? We're on page 45, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Use ask the question.
I thought it was you and Suzanne speaking on this page.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got it confused. So Noah and Suzanne are speaking on this page. And then once Noah and Suzanne get the new actions from opening shares in here, then we'll bring Karen in for the for the next cluster we go back to.
All right.
And you, sorry for that. This is fun being a trio.
Mm-hmm. So now you'll categorize each action by highlighting them as yes, maybe, or no.
I have a question. What point are we going to add these new actions, like right now?
I would get through this, just make sure that like me and Matthew know what we're doing. And then it says next is as new actions come up, please share them. They'll be added to this list. And then you could probably cut in here and say, we heard some new actions at opening shares, and we're going to need just a few moments to get it in the list. And then you could also just, instead of taking a break, you could just not share the list with us and do it really quick. Right. So I think, you kind of have to choose if this is a good opportunity to build trust with participants by being transparent, or if you don't want to set the tone that you're in charge either. So it's kind of your call here. But I think either way, you want to add what we just came up with to the list, because we're going to need to make decisions on those. And since it's a second session, I guess you could also ask, were there more ideas that came up for you between two sessions? And you can have us add more.
That would probably, you could probably ask all that after going through this, right? To kind of refresh and
refresh them.
finish. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So now you will categorize each action by highlighting them as yes, maybe, or no.
We'll go through one cluster at a time and highlight actions based on the following color code. Green, yes, we want this action to happen. Yellow, maybe we want this action to happen with adjustments or we mismatch. Or red, no, we do not want this action to happen.
Okay.
All right. As new actions come up for you, please share them.
They'll be added to the list.
All right. What are some, if any, questions you have about categorizing actions?
Questions?
Seems pretty straightforward.
All right. So now we'll start, I guess, with the next cluster that we have up here. Let me see. There we go. All right. So we left off on this one. Hold on, this the way this is set up on my computer might be a little weird. 1 second. Oh, unless my computer's just gonna stop listening. All right, here we go. So everybody can everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. So before I guess we jump back into this, we heard some actions in the beginning of this session when y'all were doing opening shares. We want to put them down as we heard them and check if they sound right. Does that work for both of y'all?
Yep.
What page is
All right.
Yeah, where are you? That's wonderful. Are you ad-libbing?
He is ad-libbing, yeah. And I think right now I'm realizing as a designer of this process that it would probably help if you end in plan actions. It's probably always good to start back at generate instead of jumping right into C, because you always get more actions. So I think what I'm going to do is add some appendixes to this guide and just say, hey, if you end here, then start here. You end here, start here, and just go through each step. And I think what I'm seeing right now and what you're kind of seeing in real time is part of the iterative process, which is like, okay, I can see how if you jump right into stage C, you don't get new action. And we always want to prioritize getting new actions. And so I think what we did correctly in this kind of second session was we said, let's not go to talk about it. They had opening shares. Let's do that. And then let's go straight into plan actions again with the same part, the gym. Let's just stick to that one part based off of also what they said in opening shares. And then I think what we could correct, just so you all know if you were in this situation again, I think we should always start plan actions in generate and then work our way all the way back up. So I'm seeing that if you skip to C, you end up having to circle back to A anyway. So maybe that way you just start today. And if they have no new ideas, then you can just move through it. So thanks for kind of workshopping with me in real time what we do when we end up in these situations. And what Noah's doing is kind of just improving, because it is like a unique situation depending on where you end in the process and where you start in the next session. But you're right in sticking to the same part. And right now what we're doing is adding what you put in plan and opening shares. And if we had started back at A, you might get more actions, but I just want you to get through all of them today. So we'll just keep going with what Noah's doing.
I can't be good enough to improvise like that. I'm barely hanging on to what you're doing, and I can't wait till I get there. Anyway, let's move on.
Well, Noah's been mediating for a year in a model that is very similar to this one. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, role model.
Well, thank you very much. I'm still very, very new to all this. I think an idea that I heard from you, Elizabeth, and then I have some ideas from you, Matthew, as well. I think I heard we cut down on YouTube time. Does that sound like something that you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. I think I also heard we do meal prep. Was that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I also heard we do a trial before committing to a specific gym.
Yes.
And I think I heard from you, Matthew, we do self-care. Does that sound accurate to what you said, Matthew?
I believe I said that, yes.
All right. And real quick, is there anything from that opening share that you, ideas that you had that you think I may have missed?
I guess mostly just do the scheduling, schedule a little better.
All right.
I would add that we start a gym routine after mediation training. And my second idea I had is we start our gym routine after we unpack all the boxes we have packed up in our apartment right now. I'm gonna say unpack boxes, I guess. That would be good. After we unpack.
Okay.
Yeah. You and I know what that means, the boxes.
All right. So the cluster that we were on before was 11 to 21. So when you're looking at this list right here, which ones stick out to you as things you might want in your plan?
I like 16 that we make sure we do full body exercises.
I can agree with that. I like those two. I was thinking 12 and 13 are good, just in general.
Yeah, I can do both of those. I like 18 that we both do the correct forms, but one adjustment I want to make to that is I think we need to do the research or get support to figure out what the correct forms are, because I just don't know what they are, so I couldn't decide until I find it. So say I would be willing to do 18 if we did 19.
I would agree with that. If we're going to do it, we want to make sure we do it correctly.
Quick question. Sorry, so I know Noah was the one who kind of ad-libbed part of that. Is he supposed to be the one who's also highlighting too, or is that supposed to be the other co-mediator?
It can be either co-mediator. So like if right now Noah is highlighting and Suzanne is fine with that or like appreciates it and is leaning on him for it, that's fine. And if Noah's like, hey Suzanne, could you take over the highlighting? He could ask her to do that. So
Okay.
I'm highlighting.
Okay, Suzanne's highlighting actually.
Highlighting.
I don't know. I was just typing the idea I heard. That's
Yeah.
it.
He's typing and I'm highlighting.
Oh, okay. You guys like automatically figured it out quickly. Yeah, I was trying to figure out like who is typing and who. Okay.
And I would say that's ideal to have you both in there because as new actions come up, someone needs to type them up, someone needs to highlight them. So it's really good to have both you in there because it happens really fast. Like you're seeing me and Matthew, we're actually, I'm slowing down for you, but in real time, they're gonna just fly through it. So I think it is actually ideal to have both mediators in there, both mediators kind of continuing to, make sure they're understanding the participants' actions, generating more, making sure they have the right colors and stuff like that. So really it's both of you doing both, like most of the process. But good question, Karen. Suzanne and Noah, you ready to keep going? Suzanne, you were so subtle. That was like stealth highlighting. I had no idea you were doing any of it.
That's why it's a funny color of green it is. I don't have that bright green in there.
It was great. No, I didn't see your like arms moving or anything. So I had no idea.
It's a magic mouse.
You're very subtle, but you have to use the keyboard shortcut, Suzanne. I don't allow using mice in mediation. Sorry.
I'm afraid I cannot mediate then.
Okay. Well,
I got my shortcuts here.
I'm joking. I would never do that to you.
Oh.
Never do that to you. That's you're done with that. Okay. Let's get back into it. So Matthew and I are kind of running out of steam on this cluster. Do you want to ask the question to kind of close this one out?
All right. Just want to check in. What other actions on here would y'all want in your plan?
I'm okay with 17 and 21.
Yeah, I'm okay with everything on this list. I'm good with those being green.
All right. Wait, you said, oh, okay, cool. Got it. All right. So, moving on to 22 through 30. What ideas stick out? I mean, what actions stick out to you?
I'm good with 22 through 26.
Hmm. Guess I'm okay with with most of them.
When you say most of them, what do you mean?
I think if I can pick any of them apart. For 25, like maybe we commit to a rec center first. Or would that count as a trial?
Um, I don't think I'm ready to commit to the rec center. I'm ready to like get a day pass and try it out because the other place by us is the YMCA. And I guess I didn't look up any like gym with memberships. I just looked up the YMCA and the rec center because they had day passes. I didn't look up a gym.
Okay.
So I guess that's an idea. We could look up what the gym looks like, and then I think instead of committing, I'd be fine to like commit to a day pass or like a free trial, like temporary, and then once we kind of maybe check out the different places, we can then decide which one we want to commit to. But for me, it's really important that I know what classes they offer and like if there are personal trainers there. And I think we have to consider the cost too. We don't want to like get locked into a gym membership that's significantly more expensive than an option that's just as good.
All right, so the new ideas I have, the new actions I have here are we do a trial before committing to a specific gym. We commit to a rec center before a gym. We get a day pass. We get a day pass at the YMCA. We get a day pass at the rec center. We look up what the gym looks like. We get a free trial. We look into classes. We look into personal trainer, maybe a personal trainer or trainers. I just heard personal trainer. I don't know what it was. We look into cost. So that's what I have so far from what y'all were just talking about. Does that sound like it captures what y'all were just talking about?
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna take Noah out because you're too good, and I'm gonna put Karen in with Suzanne. So, Karen, are you in the document?
Yes.
Okay, so where you would go from here is there's a bunch of new ideas. You would just ask me and Matthew what we would highlight these, what colors would they be for us?
Sure. Is this starting, hold on, 25 through 39, right?
Yeah, so we're in cluster 22 to 39, and it looks like 39 has two that should be maybe like adjusted and just put over, make that 39 and 40, yeah, instead of the bullet points. And then this might document, I can fix this document. It might be that this document is making you do bullet points. Those should be letters. That helps you identify them better. So let's just make sure all of it is in numbers and not the old. Yeah. Oh, it just goes, okay. We'll figure it out. Okay.
Okay, so 22 to 40 then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. For this cluster actions 22 to 40, which actions are green, yellow, or red for you?
I like 25.
What about you, Matthew?
I like 25. I think I'm good with that being green.
Suzanne, do you want to highlight or
Sure. I didn't,
Yeah, it's up to you? Or do you want to speak? I realized I was speaking, but you didn't get to speak. You need the next
No,
one.
you're good. I'll just highlight and listen and learn. I'm good.
All right. What about the rest of this cluster 26 to 40?
I'm a maybe on 36 because I don't know what schedule better means, but I think I need to flush that out before I could agree to that. So 36 is a maybe for me, be yellow.
What about you, Matthew? How do you feel about 36?
I was gonna be green because we just need to schedule our days better. Make room for it. I was going to say, let's see.
What other
26 through 29 can probably be yellow. Sort of
Okay.
just like those are things we need to look into before we commit to them.
Yeah, I agree to that. I don't think I think those are like options, but we don't have to commit to that. I do want to make sure we do 34. I think the cost is going to be like the big determining factor.
Yeah, in today's market or in today's economy, yeah, we should definitely look into that.
And I think I would want to check if they have a package for couples, because if we could get a better deal, if it's the two of us, then that might help instead of us both paying two different memberships. Maybe there's a way to do like a household or something.
32 and 33 can be yellow. I feel like those are also optional things.
I think I'm attached to 39 and 40. I don't think I want to like get into routine until we finish this training and all the boxes are unpacked.
How do you feel
All
about
right, yeah.
that, Matthew?
I guess we could hold off on the gym. But we might need to do other things in the meantime, like little things.
So 39 and 40 are green for you two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say holding off on gym, Matthew?
I said that while we're getting things sorted out, we could try to do other like little things before we go to the gym. Like something that would help us exercise.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
I just don't know what he means by little things. Like that's a maybe for me because I'm not sure what that means.
Like
So
going for walks or getting little dumbbells and doing it at home or something.
okay, I can go for walks and I could try to have I would do the dumbbells.
Or are they called dumbbells or what's the little are they just weights?
I think they're dumbbells.
Yeah, I think they are. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
No,
For
no,
some
you
reason I wanted to think of that big bar.
yeah, they are called dumbbells. I just looked it up. But it's one word. It's dumbbells. Why? Because they don't ring? I don't know. Okay. No, I feel good about that now.
What about number 30, 30 and 31, 35 and 36?
So I don't feel like I need to do anything with those.
30 can be green.
Okay, I could do 30.
Let's see. 31 be something else that we could like look into. So it'd be
Yeah, like
yellow.
we don't know if they even have free trials, so I feel like you kind of have to leave that one yellow. I'm good with 35 and 36.
Matthew?
Yeah, I'm okay with those.
For clusters 38, 41, 42, 43, are those red, green, or yellow?
38 is green for me.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. You can make that. I think I just need to more details on what that means, but yeah, we could get better at that.
41 plus 243, I'm okay with. I like those being green.
Okay, I can agree to that. So I'm gonna pause this here because I'm looking at the time. And I want you to see like how this can be a tedious process. So, this is a chance to like ask participants if they want breaks. This is why it also helps to do it between sessions because they do all the highlighting and then we match for them, which is really nice. But generally, the only thing I would give feedback on is if they do not have to highlight every single number, that they leave some white, that's okay. But Karen, it was good that you like drawing attention to because you're saying, I'm not sure what to do about it. And if I wanted to leave it alone, that was fine. But Matthew wanted to highlight it. So it was good that you followed that he wanted to keep going. And then I went along with that. So in real life, we would go through all of these and you've got 83 ideas. So it can be a lot. But again, like this is the way that we get that consensus. And you really do want participants to consider each action on their own. And if participants are like, I really don't like doing this, can we move on? One option you have is you can say, okay, well, you can highlight these outside the mediation session. The case manager can take care of that with you. And then we can go to another part and generate more actions together. But I will say that this is the part of the process that lends itself most to doing it asynchronously. And generating is much better with participants, but can happen asynchronously as well. And this is really, you're kind of seeing that plan actions is a process in a process. So we actually do this with our clients in groups of 20, 13 people, this entire thing. And we do it asynchronously, and it is the best way to get that consensus on the actions that people actually want to do. So
we
let's
do go through each one, right? Or
go through each cluster instead of one action at a time. And then
okay.
participants kind of are just leaving it, like they're not really touching it. You can leave it white. And the reason being is you also can come back to it and adjust action. So in stage D, they can come back to it and see it again. They're going to have multiple opportunities to look at each cluster and decide if they want it. So if you miss it, if they like leave it white in stage C, you still got D, E, F, you're going to be fine. And you still have the written, so they'll have multiple opportunities to look at it. And if they're leaving it, it just means it's not that important to them. And that's okay.
Okay. That's okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is let's give Suzanne a break. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to have Karen and Noah do go ahead and read page 47.
All right. Yeah.
You want to take the right or left side, Noah?
One second. I think when I was trying to do all that, what's it called? Screen sharing, I took it off. What page are we on again?
47.
All right. You can
HD.
start with the left and I'll be right there.
Okay. The right start first, so I'll wait for you.
You start with the right then. You got the message.
I was just trying to pick your.
No, I appreciate it.
I was just trying to be like Birch. We completed categorizing these actions and are transitioning to the next stage.
We will adjust actions one cluster at a time.
What are some, if any, questions about adjusting actions?
I don't have any questions.
I'm good.
It jumped right back up. I'm right there. All right. Yeah. So as the actions are currently worded, what, if any, adjustments do you want to make to them? And I guess we can go up to the RP here.
Yeah, you would just go one cluster at a time. Okay. So let's see. One. Got this spot on there. I feel like this one's missing. Is there an action where Matthew uses his gym at work?
Let me see. Work.
I don't.
We-
Uh,
Work.
there's not one specifically.
Okay. Well,
It's-
then that would
wait.
be one adjustment I would have to this cluster is I feel like, you
Yeah, I
know,
thought we had one in there.
yeah, I think Matthew, we talked about that, but I think that would be one of the adjustments I would make for the first cluster. So I would say like one of the options that Matt goes to his work gym. And I don't think I can do 6. I mean, Matthew maybe could ask if I can use the gym at Lockheed or at his work, but I doubt it that I'll be able to use it at your work because of all the security.
Okay. Wait, we don't ask about the coloring for this, is this? So I have a question. When you make an adjustment, do you also ask for what color it
Yeah.
would be?
Yep. So
Okay.
when you're adjusting, we're going to do it. And actually, one thing I will say about this step is it's lined to be A through F, but sometimes generating, adjusting, and committing can kind of happen all at the same time. Like categorizing, like people might just go for it and just follow participants. So if I'm saying that, you can probably assume that it's green for me because I'm bringing it up right now. And then you would ask Matthew, like, what do you think of that idea? And then you would highlight it both green. Does that
Gotcha.
make sense? So it's
Yeah.
outlined here very literally because we're learning how to do it, and that's how the only way to like design a manual. But in real life, you can blend a couple of the stages together because you're working in one cluster. So you could literally go from generate to I guess it's cluster. So you could go generate, you could do categorize and adjust all at the same time in one cluster. Or Matthew and I right now have been doing one cluster at a time. Just follow which way participants do it.
Okay.
So, do you have another question, Karen?
No.
So just checking in with both of y'all. I think it sounds like for you, Elizabeth, feeling unsure when it comes to the amount of access that you have to Matthew's gym. Is that right?
Yeah, just his work gym. So I don't think we should agree to 6 just because that would depend on his employer. But I think Matthew has access to that gym, so I think 7 is fine with me because I know I'm fine with him using the gym that he gets at his office.
All right. And Matthew, I think I was hearing from you, feeling comfortable in the ask, I guess, about access. Is that right, Matthew?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to ask.
So is there any any way we could, are there any ideas that y'all have that could combine the two? I guess the asking happening and the, what's it called?
We don't have to combine them. I would say I would just add an idea here about Matthew asking if I can use the gym at work with him.
Okay, cool. Wait, were you about to type it, Karen, or?
You can type it.
And I could also, Matthew, I can ask CU if I can like bring a guest with me when I go and use the gym if I have access to it.
Okay, I think green. I think that's already green, right, for CU. But I don't think Lockheed Martin.
Well, it was for Matt. So she asked if she can use the CE gym,
Oh,
and she's asking if she can add Matt onto that as well.
Oh yeah.
That would be something I could do. So if Matthew, if you ask your work, then I can ask mine. I think we can go together.
I think that's a good idea.
Does that sound like what y'all were going for? Ask LM Jim if E can use the gym. Well, no. LM, I guess LM in general, if he can use the gym.
I'm fine with that.
All right, Matthew.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right.
You're seeing how, like, even in adjust, we can come up with more actions. So we're always coming up with more stuff. And you're seeing when you adjust, Noah, Karen, you did the right thing. You just created new actions. So let's pretend that we got through all of this. And I'm gonna have Noah and Suzanne go to where it says here on page 47, just as the actions are currently worded, what are some? So you ask that, let's say you ask that for each cluster. As the actions are currently worded, what if any adjustments do you want to make to them? Go through one cluster at a time. You go through the whole list, and then when you're done with the whole list, you say, go ahead and pick us up there, Suzanne, and then Noah pick back up at the beginning of stage E.
All
Yeah,
right.
we're stage E, right? Committing to actions, is that where you are?
So you start with this list, right?
Am I on the left?
Yeah, so I'm gonna put you on the right, Karen, and do you see where I'm or Suzanne? Do
Okay.
you see where I'm highlighting? It says does this list as it is? So pretend we went ahead and adjusted each cluster. Let's just
Okay.
and go ahead and read that line for me. It's highlighted right now. Or sorry, it says does this list as it is capture all the details?
I guess I don't know where we are. I apologize.
Okay, so we're right in the middle of page 47.
Okay.
See where it says stage E, committing to actions?
Yeah, now we know which actions you want to take. Is that where we are?
So where you are is where it says stage E, 2 lines up. Where it says, does this list as it is capture all the details?
I'm lost. I'm sorry.
I'll get us there. So let's say
Sorry.
no, you're okay. And for some reason I'm echoing Matthew. I think you might have changed something. I'm not sure. So, okay, I'm in the middle of page 47. I need to wrap up stage D, and I'm going to say, does this list capture as it is? Does this
Yes.
list as it is capture all the details you need to follow through on the green actions? And if Matthew and I both say yes, then we're ready to move to stage E, and then go ahead right under the header stage E. Suzanne, start there, and then Noah pick up.
Okay.
Okay. Now that we know which actions you want to see happen, we'll go through the list of all the green actions and ask which of them you want to commit to follow through on.
When you do commit to an action, we'll highlight it purple.
Highlighting in purple means we commit to following through on this action.
All actions highlighted in purple will be added to your plan.
What are some, if any, questions you have about about how committing to actions will go?
Have any questions? And then you ask, are you ready to continue? And me and Matthew are ready to continue. And then this is where you wait for participants to confirm they're ready. If they want to read the actions by themselves, you would just let them read it by themselves, but you could also read all the green actions out loud. So you can either read them out loud or give them silence to review their green actions. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say which green actions they want to make purple. Now, most participants will just say, you know what? If they're in a cluster and they see, no, let's definitely do that, go ahead and highlight that in purple and explain this convention. But if they haven't said like, oh, I 100% want to do that, they're just like, I like that, that's a green idea, then this is kind of their last shot to like decide if it's green, they just like it, or if they're going to actually do it. What it means to be green and follow through is it goes in the plan. That's what it means. And then most participants will just say, you know what, all the green ones are purple. And you'll say, okay, great. And then you can go in and change them purple between sessions. You don't need to like spend a lot of time doing it right now. You can just make a note at the top. And then let's say we finished all of that. You could read all the purple actions out loud and ask, do you commit to follow through on these actions? Or you can have them read them and ask, do you follow through on these actions? The reason we have it this way is because not all participants commit to every green action. When they get another chance to think about it, especially between sessions, it really helps to have people review and be like, oh, that's a moot point now. Like, for example, 1 and 2 that Matthew looks for options for the rec center. I already did that between sessions, so that wouldn't make sense in our plan anymore. And so this is just kind of another fail safe to make sure that participants are only committing to things they really want to commit to. Okay, so we're gonna do final stage F. So let's say Matthew and I have reviewed all the purple ones, we like them. I'm gonna pass it, actually, I'm gonna have all three of you do this. So what I want all three of you to do is ask me or Matthew, one of us is gonna get asked twice, that's fine. Either A or B, the script. So you have two options, you can do A or B. And what you're gonna do is pull a feeling or a value from earlier in the mediation with us that you think, you know, that Matthew and I have expressed is important to us, right? And make sure like you're aligning, you know, what I've said with me and what Matthew says with him. And let's have each of you do that script at the top of page 48. And then we'll keep going with this step.
This is at any, like, from the previous sessions, or it has to be specific to this session?
It can be from the previous sessions. So you're really just kind of like between sessions, kind of figuring out like, which feeling or value is really potent. And again, like if it came from earlier in the process, it's probably better because I may have forgotten about it, but it had to be something that you know that the participants talked a lot about, that it matters to them. So does that answer your question, Karen? So let me know when each of you are ready to go ahead and align with this part of the script. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and align this plan with me and Matthew.
So I'm ready.
Okay, and don't forget, you're aligning one participant at a time. This is never something that you do with both of us. That like both of us are going to have different things.
Okay, gotcha.
So, Noah, do you want to get started?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So Elizabeth, I think I was hearing from you that you're feeling worried when it came to the gym and I guess your health in general. When you look at all the purple actions you have for the gym, are you still feeling worried?
No.
All right. And I'm just doing you and I'm not doing Matthew.
Yeah, so Suzanne or Karen, one of you do Matthew, and then somebody might do Matthew twice or me twice, and that's fine because we're just practicing.
Yeah,
Suzanne, do you want to go?
Yeah, well, yeah, I had Elizabeth ready. Let me come up with the Matthew. So hang on a minute.
You can do me again, Suzanne. That's fine.
I can do Matthew.
Okay, all right. Elizabeth, earlier, Elizabeth, you said you were feeling, got to start over. I lost my little spot here. Earlier, Elizabeth, you said you were feeling motivated about exercising. When you look at all the purple actions you have for exercising, do you still feel motivated?
Yes. So that's a great example of like Noah asked me about a negative feeling and he wants to make sure I don't feel that way anymore. And that was true. I don't feel worried. And then Suzanne, that's a great example of like, I was feeling motivated. Do I still feel that way? Because if I don't, we got a problem. But if I do, we're good. So that was a great example of using both positive and negative emotions. And Karen, it's to you.
I heard Matthew say chronic health management is important to you around the gym. When you look at all the purple actions you have for gym, do they get you to the chronic health management you are looking for?
Matthew, I'm hearing you, but they're not because you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I think a lot of these would help with the chronic stuff.
Does one of us go again?
Yeah.
Or-
So now I'm sorry. Now you did that. Now if you want to scroll down on page 48, which pair is mediating right now?
I think it left off on Suzanne and Karen, right? Or no?
Okay, so let's do Karen and Noah. Karen, can you read that question? So once you've aligned and both participants say yes, you're going to read the line. here, and then the box on this page kind of tells you what happens if they're not aligned.
The when you look at all the purple actions one, or the one after that?
Got that, Karen? And then Noah,
one.
read the next line under the box.
Okay. When you look at all the purple actions for gym, if these actions are followed through on, are your needs around the gym fulfilled?
Yes.
Elizabeth and Matthew.
All right. Let me see. We have now completed phase 2 plan actions.
After this mediation session, you will receive a copy of the plan.
Now that we have a plan of all actions you are committed to following through on for the gym, we are moving on to the next phase, where you decide what you want to do with this plan.
So now let's do Noah and Suzanne on the top of page 49.
All right. Yep, I'm on 49. So you've completed your plan, and now you'll decide what happens with it.
There are 4 paths: written plan, verbal plan, move to talk about it, or move to list and select parts.
We will explain each path now and then ask you which option or combination of options you'd like. Boop. I'm holding it.
Okay, great. So who's on written plan? There you go.
Written plan, we'd confirm all the actions you committed to, and after this session, send you a written plan document.
You can write multiple plans, including one that you can share with others and one you can keep private between yourselves.
Verbal plan, you will each share what you understand the verbal plan to be and confirm you have a shared understanding.
We can move to talk about it. In there, you'll continue the conversation about anything else you'd like to share in the mediation.
Move to list and select parts. You will review the parts list and add to it and or select an additional part to create an action plan around.
What are some, if any, questions you have about the 4 paths?
Which path or combination of paths would you like to take your plan for the gym through?
I don't have any questions, but we're going to go through all the paths for practice. And then that box underneath that question tells you what to do if they match or if they mismatch. Okay. So go ahead and I think Noah or Suzanne, that line right under the box, start with written plan. And then when you're done with page 49, let's have Suzanne and Karen do written plan path together.
So you mean, so I'm saying, oh, okay. So you chose the written path. Now we're going to walk through it.
Along with the path you have chosen, you will also receive a copy of your action plan with all the highlights.
You chose a written path. We are now going to walk through it.
Earlier in the process, you highlighted the actions you want to commit to in purple.
We will review those purple actions and you will decide which of them you want to be included in your written plan.
Then you will decide how private you want to keep your written plan.
You have the option to keep it private just between you or share with additional humans.
What are some, if any, questions you have about how your written plan will go?
Which of these purple actions do you want to include in your plan?
I'm sorry, I don't have any questions, and I would like to include all the purple ones. And then if there's anything that I wanted to change, you would just change it back to green, right? So you got another fail safe in here. If I'm like, well, you know, that purple one isn't relevant, or I changed my mind, I got another chance to kind of back out. So now after you viewed all the actions, Karen, do you want to read this last question?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Or-
one time, yeah. Wait, is it do you commit? Is that the one you want me to read, or is
Yeah,
that Suzanne?
Whichever
Oh.
one of you is on the right, read the last question on the bottom of page 50.
Do you commit to taking these actions in the future?
Yes, I do. And then let's have both of you continue on the top of page 51.
We want to check in about who, if anyone in addition to you, will have access to this written plan.
There's someone else that you would like to have access to this plan.
So I would say me and Matthew in this situation, I think I speak for both of us, no. But if there is someone, do you see the box underneath? If they say, yes, in fact, we would like to share this with Matthew's mom to show off what a great girlfriend Elizabeth is, then you would go through this step. So you would ask, who would you like to share this plan with? You have the option to share some, but not all actions. You would ask the participants what you would ask the other participants. So if I said, I want to share it with your mom, you'd ask Matthew, what are your thoughts on sharing it with your mom? And then would you like to share all the actions in this plan or a selected set? So if me and Matthew are like, you know what, your mom can know all of this. Or if we're like, I don't think I want your mom to know that we're going to work on our glutes to get sexy booties, right? We're going to leave the sexy booty working out details out of the one that your mom sees, right? If they want to do a set of options, but not all of them, you have a new highlight option, right? So blue would be the actions that we want to follow through on and that we want to share with his mom. And instead of Matthew's mom, you would ask for our full name. So we would say Karen Horner. Okay. So this is your option for if participants want to have 2 plans. And this is a silly example with the gym, but there are plenty of times when people want a plan that's private between the 2 of them. And so you have to figure out who they are sharing it with and which actions they're sharing. And that's what that box lets you do. So you have that option. Again, you will rarely use it, but if you need it, it is there. If they both say no, there's no one I want to share it with, you would proceed. And let's proceed and have whoever was reading on the right start back where it says only, and then just fill in the gaps of who's sharing it. So Matthew and I have decided it's just me and him.
Only you, Elizabeth, and Matthew, the mediators and the Humans Mediate team, will have access to this written plan.
The Humans Mediate team will write it up and email it to you for approval before sending the final written plan back to you.
Details about your plan will be communicated through the Humans Mediate team.
For the plan, we will add the word will to each of your written actions to make them feature focused.
Going here.
This is living and can adapt as needed.
What are some of any questions you have about your written plans, Elizabeth and Matthew?
No.
I don't have anything.
You have completed the mediation process for the gym.
We are now transitioning, have a couple question options.
Transition options guide.
So
I'm
now
gonna,
go ahead and keep reading.
I'm gonna share the transition options guide. The step is completed. From now, here we can move to either talk about it or list and select parts.
You also have the option to take a break, close the session, or end the mediation.
What, if any, questions do you have about the transition options?
None.
Good.
What would you like to transition to?
So if we match, you just do what we say. If we don't match, you reflect and you ask an open-ended question and you build understanding until they choose what to do. And they do have all these options. They can only go to certain parts of the process at this point because it's the end of the road, right? So you said that above. And then if they want to end the session, they can. If they want to end the mediation, they can. If they're like, I want another session to figure this out, think about it and come back to it. Those are options they have. So great. Let's do take 2 and let's do Karen and Noah. And why don't you go through the verbal plan for me?
All right. So you chose the verbal path. We are now going to walk through it.
Along with the path you have chosen, you will also receive a copy of your action plan.
First, we'll ask each of you to say what your understanding of the plan is.
Then we'll check in to see if you have share a mutual understanding.
What are some, if any, questions you have about how the verbal plan path will go?
I don't have any questions.
All right, Matthew.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Are you ready to continue?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So what is y'all's understanding of the plan?
Matthew and I are going to start our gym routine after the mediation training. We're going to explore our options, and then we're going to schedule in workout times.
No, where are you typing that?
See, it says fastest typer captures what they say in notes.
Okay. So is it in the same page as the
I
plan
think so.
actions?
So
Right.
I would not, you would just type it in your notes, not the plan actions, because they're saying I don't really need a record of this.
Oh,
And
I
what
didn't write it in the document. I think she just
writing
heard my keys, right?
what it says. Yeah. So you're doing it in your notes.
Oh, my screen is sharing. That's why.
Gonna write it in your notes because again, like they don't want a copy of it. They want just to say it verbally. But it's generally a good idea to try and capture as much as you can, just in case they're like, what did I say again? Then you have it in your notes. Okay. But we're not sending them like what we type out because they don't want a written plan. They just want to say it. Right. So as one person is just kind of like trying to type it, I said my understanding of the plan. And now someone needs to ask Matthew his understanding of the plan. So I would say, Karen, if you're not typing, just ask Matthew, what is your understanding of the plan? I've given you mine and you can thank me, but you want to make sure we're both saying it.
So no, you're just typing it in your own like
Yeah,
the original notes, right? You're not the plan action notes.
it's
Okay.
not in there.
Okay. Matthew, what is your understanding of the plan?
My understanding of the plan is that um we sort out what we have right now, our chores and daily life sort of things, and once we're ready, we go to a gym and figure out what exercises would suit us best and improve ourselves.
No, you both said it. You're not going to reflect anything. You're just going to ask this last question that's above the box.
All right. I was on the left, right? So.
So Karen, do you want to read this question? There you go.
Do you agree that the plan you heard is a plan you will follow through on?
Yes.
With your verbal understanding and following through on those actions, does this meet your needs around gym?
Yes.
Yes.
This plan is living and can adapt.
You have completed the mediation process for the gym.
We are now transitioning and have a couple options.
This is going to be the exact same thing you said in written plan. Okay. It's this same options. Okay. Now I want to just scroll up to page 53 and 54. The boxes are where if they change their mind, like if they don't agree, it says what you do next. Okay. At this point, they most likely agree, right? They maybe didn't listen to each other's plans, whatever. They just want to say it and get it over with, or they really genuinely already figured it out and a verbal plan is a-okay with them. Okay. So when you're listening to it, you might be like, huh, Elizabeth and Matthew's plan verbally doesn't really match. But if both participants are like, we're good, we're good. If they're not good, follow what it says in the box. The answer, almost like 9 times out of 10, if they don't match the answer, actually every time they don't match, the answer is reflect what you last heard and ask an open-ended question and keep doing that until they make the decision. And if they do not make the decision and they cannot make the decision, then you ask them what they want to do. They can end the session, they can move to another step, they can do something, but they can't move forward if they can't agree on how to do that. Okay? Does that kind of help you understand that piece of the verbal plan? So let's go real quick. Suzanne and is it Suzanne and Noah now? Yeah, Suzanne and Noah. Can you please do all of page 55? So.
All right. So y'all have chosen the talk about it path. We are now going to walk through it.
Along with the path you have chosen, you will also receive a copy of your action plan.
Okay, so
All
at
right.
this point, you would go back to the manual and repeat the phase. And you can read through all the instructions. They're very short. So generally, I just read through them every time so that every time they know what's happening. But if they're like, we already know all this, and you just ask, well, what do you want to talk about? And we just keep going. Okay, so it's nice, easy people. Now let's pretend Matthew and I picked list and select parts. Continue.
Okay. All right. What's it called? Because I went up to talk about it. So 1 second.
Yep. Oh, you went all the way back up. Yeah, you got to go back to
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. So transition options. Talk about it. Okay. So you chose the list and select parts path. We are now going to walk through it.
Along with the path you have chosen, you will also receive a copy of your action plan.
All right.
So then you would just go back to list and select parts of the manual and you would just repeat. Okay. And then from here, if they finish next steps and they choose your transition, your timer goes off, you would end the session. Or if they say, we want to end the session, just go to end the session. And when you end a session, you're going to try to do closing shares. Okay. Give them the last word. People are always very happy to take it. So you've kind of gone through next steps. You see like all of the things. Any questions about what happens in next steps and the different paths?
Are you asking us if we have any questions about next?
Yeah, so
Next-
now we're just back in training. So did you have any questions about how next steps work now that you
Oh, okay. I was
That's-
like, wait. I was like, what? Huh?
Huh?
Where was that question?
I don't think so. I guess they'll come up when we role play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
In role play, like again, your role players is gonna kind of pick whatever, they'll be assigned to pick something. But generally just always follow the script. Just follow what it says. And if they mismatch, there's a box right there that tells you like this is what you do if they mismatch. And generally next steps, like they choose a path, they can combine paths. So there's kind of a logical way to do that. If somebody wants a written plan and a verbal plan, do both. Right? If they want a written or verbal plan and they want to move on, do the written or verbal plan before you move on. Right? And as long as they're both okay with doing a combination of things, that's fine. Okay. The main key is, again, just make sure all participants are okay with what is happening. And the entire mediation, I've managed to make this ball of yarn a worse knot than it was before we started. So I'm going to stop this and we're going to stop our role play. And in the last 30 minutes, I'm going to do some mediation, conflict resolution theory stuff for you all. So now that you're going to be practicing mediators when you finish the trainings, I want to make sure that you have a basic understanding of the field, because what you will find is most people do not have that basic understanding. And so I've included this in the curriculum because what you will find is a lot of confusion among people who are mediators or other practitioners, PhDs, master's degrees. There's a lot of jargon that has come out of academia and it's gotten very mixed up in the general public. So like how right now everyone thinks that their ex is a narcissist. Narcissism is a very specific diagnosis with very specific symptoms, and there are very few people who are genuinely narcissists, but I guarantee you have heard someone say, my ex is a narcissist, my boss is a narcissist, blah, 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 okay? Happens all the time, right? I'm having a panic attack. You are not actually having a panic attack, but we have all this popular culture stuff. So the same thing has happened in conflict resolution, where people have heard the terminology and they start using it incorrectly, and then it gets really messy. And so what I'm going to kind of give you is just kind of a reset. I'm trying to make this as clear as possible, but know that there was not any like authority or any official definition on this. I had to put this together myself after years of this driving me crazy. And there isn't a lot of clarity in the field around this. The important thing is that you know And again, instead of correcting people, you want to just ask them, what do you mean by that? And find out, and then tell them what you mean by the term you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then just somebody confirm that you can see it. Go ahead and present. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. And remember, you can always drag and click and drag those two parallel lines in the middle of the screen and make this bigger and our faces smaller, or vice versa. So I'm going to talk about mediation, negotiation, restorative justice, evaluation, arbitration, and litigation. Before you tune me out, you are going to have to read stuff out loud, so you're going to have to pay attention. When we're going through this, I want you to think of Ryan and Taylor. So they're roommates. They have a lease. And Taylor is the landlord and the tenant, and she's in the bigger bedroom. And Ryan is her tenant and roommate, and he is in the smaller bedroom. And they are fighting over who gets the bigger bedroom. Ryan's not happy with the smaller one. Okay, so we're gonna go through the ADR toolkit, and you're gonna figure out which one of these things would work best for Ryan and Taylor, and how they would each look a little different if they took their situation through all of them. So ADR has a toolkit. The metaphor I want to use is just because you have a hammer doesn't mean everything is a nail. We are in ADR, and ADR has multiple tools, and every situation is going to require different tools, and it might require multiple tools, right? Just like when we're building stuff. So mediation is not always the right fit every time. Neither is litigation, right? None of these are a fix-all every time. So why ADR? ADR is most often meaning alternative dispute resolution. Alternative to what? The courts. Myself and other people in the field don't love that term because it kind of makes the courts the center of the universe, and they're doing a great job thinking they're the center of the universe on their own. I don't particularly want to help them in that delusion. So another term that people have started to use is appropriate dispute resolution, and included in that is litigation. So instead of saying we're an alternative to the God that is litigation, it's not accurate. What's more accurate is it's appropriate dispute resolution, and litigation is one of several appropriate dispute resolution processes, depending on the situation. So who are our main players today? I've narrowed it down to our top 6 here, and I'm going to have each of you read the definition. So if I'm going to go reverse order alphabetical, and I'm going to start with Suzanne. Suzanne, could you read the definition of mediation? And then we'll pause and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Mediation, a process centered on participants to fulfill their needs. Participants talk to each other about their needs while mediators guide them through the process, making sure they feel heard. The outcome is completely determined by the participants and is non-binding.
So you are all learning about how to mediate, and in a future class, we'll talk about how there are various mediation models. You are learning one of those in this training, and that's the Humans Universal Mediation Model, otherwise known as HUM. You are learning version 1.8, and we continue to iterate on it. And I've learned a lot from today, so it's already going to go into 1.9. And mediation generally is described in this way. There is not a universal definition. This is mine, but this is what we're going to work with today. Can I have Noah read the definition for negotiation?
People have a conversation, both looking to achieve the best outcome for themselves. This is often a competition, and the best negotiator gets their preferred outcome.
Yes. So this is the least structured. Sometimes you can hire a professional negotiator. What that looks like is they're either negotiating on your behalf or they're negotiating alongside you. But really, it comes down to skill, and it comes down to power, and it comes down to who has the best deal. And it's all a competition. There's going to be a winner and a loser. There's many types of negotiation. There's a negotiation of who does the dishes between me and Matthew. There's employment negotiations when you start a new job, right? You're negotiating your pay, you're negotiating your benefits. There's negotiations with mergers. There's all sorts of things. There's hostage negotiations, but it's a very loose definition. There's no kind of universal like steps to negotiation. And really the way you kind of determine if it's a negotiation is if two people are kind of going back and forth trying to negotiate what the outcome is going to be for both of them. There is sometimes a third party, but most often not, and that third party is not neutral. Okay, can I have Matthew, can you read the definition for restorative justice?
Restorative justice is centers around repairing harms. They assign roles. Person who caused harm, person harmed, community members, co-facilitators. The person who caused harm takes action to repair harms. There are community members who witness and influence the process and outcome.
Okay, great. So one main difference between restorative justice and mediation is in restorative justice, the entire process hinges on that they are talking about harms and how to repair them. Okay. In mediation, we can talk about harms, we can talk about repairs, but we're not labeling them that, right? We're talking about parts and actions. Okay. So in restorative justice, you are not making plans or coming up with solutions for anything other than the harms, and we're focusing simply on repair. Okay, so that's different than mediation. Karen, can you please read the definition here for evaluation?
People seek an expert to give them their advice and opinions on what they should do. All information is provided to the evaluator who reviews it. The evaluator gives their opinion and may recommend an outcome, but it's not binding, and people do not have to follow the advice given, although they often do.
The evaluation is just a general name for like, hey, we went to someone who's an expert and they gave us their opinion. This can look like going to couples therapy, going to family therapy, right? You are an expert in psychology and families, so tell us what to do, right? This can look like an insurance adjuster comes in to decide how much your car is worth to help you understand what the settlement should be, right? This is a very simple, two people or even one goes to an expert, asks for their opinion, gets that opinion, and that opinion ultimately influences the outcome. But that opinion won't determine the outcome, right? No, there's no expert that you could go to who then has the authority to force you to do that, right? Okay, can I have, we're gonna circle back to Suzanne. Suzanne, can you read the definition of arbitration?
Arbitration, opposing parties take turns presenting their arguments and evidence to an arbitrator. The arbitrator then makes a binding decision on the outcome that the parties have to follow.
Great. So arbitration, there is a single arbitrator. The parties are called parties, not participants. They go to the arbitrator, they present their case, and the arbitrator comes back and says, this is what you're going to do. Arbitration is sometimes legally binding and sometimes it is not, but most of the time it is. Okay. So it's kind of like a judge, except there's no jury and it's often outside of court. A litigation could, I have Noah read the definition of litigation, and mind you, this is my definition, so there is a tone.
Attorneys advocate for their opposing party by presenting arguments and evidence to a judge and or jury. A judge orders a binding court ruling based on their opinion and legal precedent. The ruling is enforced through state violence, both physical and financial. It is an integral part of the prison industrial complex and can garnish wages, tax returns, and demand fines. Litigation is also where citizens and human rights are both violated, ignored, protected, and enforced. Courts have geographical jurisdictions determined by the nation state they are a part of. Judges can be both elected and appointed. Did I get the tone right or no?
It's pretty good. It was passionate. My tone is mostly like, it's a lot of like roll my eyes and like, oh my gosh, these colonizers, I'm so over it. But that's just my personal opinion. Colonization was not in there, so you know, whatever. Okay, so we all know who they are, right? So these are the 5 we're gonna work with. And I'm gonna, you wanna think about what these all are, because I'm gonna start asking you to figure out some of the criteria of how we define these things. So we've got mediation, negotiation, restorative justice, or you can call it RJ for short, evaluation, arbitration, and litigation. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we're gonna have a little exercise here, and I'm gonna have you write it in the chat because we're on Zoom, and I love that about Zoom. And what we're gonna do is I have these examples, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you're gonna have to decide which one is which of the ADR processes we just discussed. So I hope you remember what the names are. So what you'll see is a couple different options. If you see a little icon that looks like this with the outline of a person, that is the practitioner. If you see a icon that looks like this that's filled in, these are the participants / parties. This little guy with the little wing and little collar here, this is a judge. And if you see a circle that's filled in black, that is a community member. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, write those in the chat and tell me which ones are mediation, negotiation, RJ, evaluation, arbitration, and litigation based on the humans involved.
Said mediation, negotiation, evaluation, litigation.
I'll write it in the chat for you. It's mediation is an option. You've got negotiation, evaluation, RJ, arbitration, and litigation. You've got to decide which is which. And just stick your answers in the chat. And while you do that, I am going to, oops, that's the answers. Don't read them.
Uh-oh. Almost screen capped it.
Yeah, be quicker than that.
I'm gonna quickly, I'm gonna do this really quick. I'm going to take these.
My trigger finger's ready.
So I'm gonna pull this back up 1 second. I realized that I could make this easier for you guys, so I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna take me 1 second. So let me just, so here are your options again. And I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to ungroup them. Oops, I'm gonna just select this, haha. And here is what you're working on. Very nice and big and in case. And I'm just gonna stick these options in here for you. So hold on, just do this off to the side. So we can just, there you go. Okay, that's what I'm.
Send it in to everyone or just to you?
Put it in the chat for everyone, so you can cheat off each other if you want
Ooh,
to.
I like that.
Oh,
Three of
okay.
them down.
Cheating is collaborative, y'all. Like, it's not cheating to collaborate, so you do you, but depends on how
Okay.
fast you guys are. So we'll see.
I think number 5 is mediation, and number 4 is litigation, and I
Okay.
think number 2 is restorative justice.
Type that in the chat for me, Karen.
Oh,
I'm just wondering, does this account for mediation models where there's one mediator or no?
Okay, so it does not account for mediation models with one mediator, because if you have one mediator, I don't consider it mediation.
Oh, good.
Ah,
Yeah. So it's going to be 2 co-mediators. And let me put these here. Oh, why this doesn't want to.
I said mediation was 5 just because I asked that question, not because of you, Karen.
oh wait, I put it as a direct message. My bad. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, it's only to me. See, she doesn't want you guys to cheat off her. Typical.
See, you was all like, oh, can we cheat? Can we cheat? And then you hiding your answers.
Just add that to sound like she was collaborative. I see right through you, Karen.
Mhm.
Okay. You good. Okay. So here we go. Now this slide is easier, right? Because now you can see your options. See or no? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Nice. So now I got these up here for you. And you have your options. You got to decide. Okay. We have some ideas here. So number 1 is.
Wait, hold up. Oh, damn. No, oh, man. Okay, I guess I'll just go answer, I guess.
Okay. So number 1 is arbitration and evaluation. You'll notice 1 and 6 look the same. So 6, arbitration evaluation, it actually looks the same, right? You've got 1 practitioner, the evaluator or the arbitrator, and 2 parties, right? So that was a trick question, and it looks like some of you got it. So Suzanne's right. 1 was or could be arbitration. Okay, number 2 is restorative justice. Why? because you still have two facilitators. You've got a person harmed and a person who caused harm, and you've got community members, right? So RJ is the only place in here where you have community members. Community members in restorative justice come in and they talk about the impact of what the person who caused harm did on the community. So they're often just random people who are from the community who hear what happened and kind of say, this is how it impacts me as a person in the community. Cool. Number 3 is negotiation. Yes, I see Matthew got that right. Looks like, let's see, Karen, did you get that right? You didn't say a 3. So 3 is negotiation because it is the only one where you can do it without a practitioner. Most
yeah, I would have
negotiations
written that though. Okay.
2 people, right? So number 3 is negotiation. Number 4 is litigation. Most of you got that. Yes, it is the only place where there is a judge. Judges got no place in anything else. So when I hear that retired judges or mediators, I'm like, get out of here. You only belong in the court. Please let us have our own thing. My opinion only. Don't tell them I said that. Okay, 5, you've got 2 participants who are centering and 2 practitioners who are like lifting them up from the bottom. That's us. That's mediation. That's where we hang out. And number 6, again, it's either. What did you say, Suzanne?
I didn't put mediation in there. I skipped. That's the one I didn't get in there.
You skipped the one that is what we're talking about.
That's us.
That's us. You have to recognize us. We're the most beautiful bubble, okay?
Right.
And then 6, we've got, and actually, hold on. I have a slide. Why am I doing this as if I don't have a slide? I have an answer slide. Okay. I got this.
Unity and symmetry.
There you go. You got mediation, negotiators, RJ, attorneys, arbitration, evaluation. I don't know why they're all oh, they're just the order in which I talk about them in the slide deck. Okay, so you can see the human beings. Now we're going to talk about how we think about this based on a couple criteria. See the top row, I have all the types of ADR we're talking about. On the column, I have these criteria. And I'm going to have you guys guess. So for mediation, and these are your options. For participant and practitioner control, it's either very high, medium, low, very low. Okay, so that's our scale. And on that scale, what do you think participant and practitioner control of the mediation process looks like? So I'll go ahead and put that scale in here as well. So it's just very high, medium, low, very low.
Oh, there's multiple levels.
So we
look at these 2 right here, these first 2 squares, what do you think it is? And I'm going to actually escape here and I'm going to put in the answer key in here too. Because why not? These are your options. What do you guys think?
Wait, you're asking us which ones are high and which ones are low?
Yep. So for these 2 squares, participant control and practitioner control. So for mediation, do you think what do you think it is? Do you think participant control is very high, medium, low, or very low?
I think for mediation it's very high, and participant control and practitioner it is very well. I guess let's say maybe low.
Say low. Okay. So let's see the next slide because I did make answer slides. Guys, every time I do this, I'm like, I can make it better. Okay. So in mediation, participant control is very high and practitioner control very low. Right? We have very little control over what happens. We are just guiding the process, but our process is optional, baby. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Very, very low. And participants, very high. They decide everything. They have to opt into everything. Ultimately, they get to decide. So now that we've done that once, we're gonna go to negotiation. So what do you think? Noah answered the last one. Let's pass it to Suzanne or Karen. You can phone a friend or Matthew. So if it's your turn, you can phone a friend, but let's go to Suzanne. Suzanne, do you think participant control and negotiation is very high, high, medium, low, or very low?
And participant control is very high in negotiation.
Okay, and what do you think about practitioner control and negotiation?
Actually, participant control is high, practitioner control is very high.
Okay, so you would say very high? Cool. So it would say participant control is high, but it depends on their skills and existing power dynamics, right? So
Okay.
very high for like my boss and very low for me, right? So like when I work at CU, if I try to negotiate with a state university, I'm very skilled, but that power dynamic is very skewed, right? So there's a high degree of participant control, but it is going to depend on who the participants are, and it's not always going to be even. Now, like if I'm negotiating against a professional negotiator, I think he's going to win, right? Probably the person who's more skilled at negotiating. Now, why did I say practitioner control is non-existent? It's because there usually isn't a practitioner. But Suzanne, if there was a professional negotiator, you are right. If someone is coming in and they are a professional negotiator, they have a high amount of control. Now, if they are being employed by the person they are negotiating with, that power dynamic shifts, right? So you got different things going on in here. And in mediation, because we're treating both participants the same, right? They both get asked open-ended questions. They both get reflected. They both have to consent every time we move. Every time there's something that ends the plan, they both have to agree. We kind of cut through those power dynamics, right? In mediation, someone could come in and be the worst mediator or have never mediated before in their lives, have zero skill. And it doesn't matter because the mediators are guiding through the process, right? So that's how we are different than negotiation. Thank you, Suzanne. Matthew, for restorative justice, where do you think participant control and practitioner control are on our scale?
I guess the participant control would be kind of pretty low, very low, and the practitioner would be would be high.
Let's see. So, what just happened? Okay, here we go. Okay, so in RJ, participant control is high. It is not as high as mediation because in restorative justice, participants have to focus on harm and repairing that harm. They can talk about whatever harms they want. They can define harms however they want to. They can talk about any repairs and define that how they want to, but they have to stick to that, right? They have to stick to the thing that happened that caused the harm, and they have to stick to repairs. They can't go off in mediation and come up with a bunch of parts, right? So mediation, you can talk about literally anything. You can talk about repairs, harms, any part you want. There's a lot more control for participants in mediation, but in restorative justice, you also have to go through all the steps. You have to hear what the harms were. You have to come up with repair. You have to follow through on those repairs, and you have to show proof that you did that, right? So RJ has a lot more constraints on participants than mediation, but fewer than evaluation, arbitration, and litigation, okay? Practitioner control is low, but it is higher than mediators. Because in restorative justice, you can say, you have to say you're taking responsibility. You have to talk about repairs and harms. You have to actually do the repair, right? So there's a little bit more authority in there. And it's not that restorative justice facilitators have like authority from the state. It's often restorative justice cases are referred from the court. And if you don't do it, you are back in front of a judge. So there is less control because if I say, no, I'm not going to do this, then I'm back in litigation. And the threat of litigation and jail time is often enough to coerce people to just do whatever they got to do in RJ to make it happen. Mediation, we don't have that kind of coercion, right? So in mediation, if a judge says, you have to mediate, okay, I don't love that the judge did that because mediation is voluntary. What happens if they do? If the judge says, you have to mediate, what I do is I tell the participant, you have to show that you need to, because if you don't, the judge is going to do something. Like they have the authority to get you in some big trouble. You don't want any of that. However, when you listen to my opening, when you listen to starting the session, if you show up to mediation, if the second I'm done, I say, is you're like, I'm out, that counts. I will tell the judge you participated in mediation because participation in mediation is voluntary. He can force you to show up. He cannot force me in the process. It is a consensual process. Okay. So that's kind of how I get around that in mediation. The judge, if they ask me what happened, I just say they mediated. I'm not going to say they showed up and left, right? I'm going to say they mediated because it is correct. You are mediating if you show up and you say, I'm out of here. That is same as if you show up and you do the entire thing. It's both mediating. There's no right or wrong way to do it for participants as long as they consent. And if their consent is not given and we honor that, we did it right. Okay. So let's talk about evaluation. Karen, what do you think the control looks like in evaluation?
I think, okay, practitioner control seems high. I wouldn't say very high because in the end it's not binding. And then for participant, is there a medium one?
There's a medium.
Medium, because a lot of times they go by the recommendation of the evaluator, but they don't always have to.
That is correct. So participants, they can choose to seek an evaluator, right? They can seek to choose out an expert. They can choose who that is. But when someone gets an expert opinion, that does influence you. It can't unring the bell, which is why in mediation, we never give our opinion. We don't give advice or make suggestions because no matter how small it is, it's no longer their idea anymore, right? So we might be right and it might be a great idea, but we take away the option for the participants to feel they fully own it, not our style, right? But a professional, an evaluator, you might want to go in and, get properly diagnosed, right? And that's great. But when you get that diagnosis, whether you agree with it or not, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect the outcome, right? Practitioners have medium control. They can't determine the outcome like Karen said, but they certainly influence it. Right? It's pretty strong influence. So I'm looking at time. I'm going to just go through the rest of these for you. In arbitration, participants have low control. Okay. They show up, they arbitrate, they plead their case to the arbitrator, and then the practitioner has a high amount of control. They dictate to you how the arbitration is going to happen. You have to follow the process they provide you. The arbitrator makes the final decision on the outcome. You have to accept that outcome. It's a lot of control, less control for participants, but they do have more control in arbitration than they would in litigation just because they can ultimately choose their arbitrator sometimes. And they can also choose to make it binding or not binding. And often different industries like airlines, they actually have specialized arbitrators, which does give the participants more control because they can say, no, we want someone who actually knows our field, not just some rando, right? So that's some of that. And litigation, participants have very little control. Once you enter the court system, forget it. Most things are going to be decided for you, and you just have to deal with it. And they're court ordered, which means that if you don't follow through, we can fine you. We can put a warrant out for your arrest. We can put it on your record. There are serious consequences if you try to push back on the court. And Suzanne knows this as a paralegal. Even when you are writing documents for the court, if you write them wrong, ooh, you're in trouble. Okay. Practitioner control, very high, right? Attorneys have a lot of control. The judge has ultimate control, has the most control of any of these practitioners. Okay. So now we're going to go through the next row. I don't know why it keeps doing that. We're going to go through the next row here. So outcome determiners, participants determine the outcome in mediation, hands down, never the mediators. Negotiation, the participants determine the outcome. In restorative justice, the participants determine the outcome. However, they have to stay within the bounds of they decide what the repairs are for the harms they are talking about in that situation. It can't be any outcome under the sun. It has to be involved with repairing harm. Evaluation. Okay, evaluation. The evaluator is kind of the outcome determinator because no matter what, they're influencing it, but ultimately the participants are the ones who are going to decide what to do because the evaluator doesn't have any authority or power to tell them what to do in the end. They can make their suggestions and tell them what to do, but they can't enforce it. Outcome determinator in arbitration is the arbitrator. In litigation, the outcome determiner is the judge. Sometimes it's a jury. It's most Because even a judge can tell the jury that's not within the confines of the law, you can't do that, right? The jury can't say, tar and feather them, because the judge will be like, that is not allowed, right? So it really is the judge, even if it is unanimous, the jury's like, they need to be tarred and feathered and paraded around. Not up to us in the end. Okay, content generators. Who is generating the majority of content? It is the participants in mediation. Remember, they talk at least 90% of the time, if not more. Negotiation, it's the participants. And restorative justice, it's the participants, the community members, and the facilitators. So all of them come up with content and possible solutions at the end. Evaluators, it's the parties and the evaluators who generate the content together. In arbitration, the parties present their case, but the arbitrator determines what's going to happen in the end. So they're also creating a lot of the content. They get to ask the questions. They can determine a lot of things. And then in court, it's the parties, the attorneys, and the witnesses that are generating content. Often it's the paralegal doing the research, giving it to the attorney. Okay, so that's the chart. I'm looking at the time, and I want to actually slow down and go through this next time. But I just want to give you a sense that, like, these are the general options, and you're going to hear of a lot of other ones, but we'll talk more about that next class. So congratulations, you got through our group trio mediation with me and Matthew. We're going to finish this arbitration slide deck next class. And then for the rest of the class, we're going to have a mix of theory, and then we're going to practice things. So next class, we'll probably do more role plays and work more on plan action, so you can get your teeth more into that. Okay, so Karen will not be here with us on Thursday, but that's okay. We'll have Kendra, who will be able to fill in, and we'll still have a group of 4. Cool. Okay, I'll hang back if there are any questions. I don't have a hard stop tonight, but stay safe on election night and the rest of the week. And don't go crazy if you can help it. Maybe go on a news diet. I know some people kind of do that. And Aaron, happy election day, y'all.
Yeah. Thank y'all very much for being amazing participants. Thank you, Suzanne, and maybe Karen's gone, but she's still here. Her spirit can hear it.
Trying to eat.
Thank you for thank you both for being fantastic co-mediators as well.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me learn, everybody.
Yeah,
It's
thank you, everyone.
great. Thank you.
Gotta give yourself more credit. You're great. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I have been thinking through every class. It's like, how can I change my notes? How can I change this? How can I change that? So it's like, it is ever evolving. We'll see how that happens. See what
Always
happens.
gonna evolve. And Karen, or Suzanne, whatever attorney had you that didn't appreciate you, screw them. We appreciate you. You don't need to be so humble. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll miss you for the session, next session, Karen.
You better. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.